Have you ever wondered about the significance of virginity in the Catholic Church and how its importance has evolved throughout history? Well, today we delve into this fascinating topic, tracing its roots from the early church days up to the present moment. In the early days of Christianity, virginity held a different meaning. It wasn't so much about physical purity, but rather a spiritual commitment. Early Christian writings from the 1st and 2nd centuries, such as those by St. Paul, advocated for a life dedicated to God, which often meant refraining from marriage and sexual relations. As the Church grew and developed, the concept of virginity evolved. Around the 4th century, the Church began to venerate virgin saints like St. Agnes and St. Cecilia. These women, who had chosen to remain virgins for their entire lives, were seen as models of purity and devotion. They were celebrated for their commitment to God, and their stories became a part of Catholic law. The Middle Ages brought a new emphasis on physical purity. This was the era when the Church established the concept of the Virgin Mary as the ideal woman. Mary's virginity was not just about her physical state, but also her moral purity and her total dedication to God. This idea of the Virgin Mary set a standard for women in the Church, and virginity became a revered state. The Renaissance and Enlightenment periods brought about challenges to this concept. Society began to question many religious norms, including the Church's teachings on virginity. However, the Church held firm to its beliefs. In the modern era, the Catholic Church continues to uphold the significance of virginity. It is seen as a gift, a sacred commitment to God. The Church supports those who choose to live a celibate life and acknowledges their deep devotion. However, it's important to note that the Church also values marriage and family life. It teaches that sexual relations within marriage are sacred and a reflection of God's love. This dual emphasis on both virginity and marriage highlights the Church's belief in the sanctity of all forms of love and commitment. In summary, the concept of virginity in the Catholic Church has evolved over the centuries, from the early Christian call to a spiritual commitment, through the veneration of virgin saints in the Middle Ages, to the emphasis on the Virgin Mary as an ideal and the continued reverence for virginity today. The Church has maintained a consistent theme. That is, virginity represents a deep and sacred commitment to God. It's a fascinating journey, reflecting the Church's evolving understanding of spirituality, commitment, and love. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of a deeply held belief in the Catholic tradition. Until next time, keep asking questions.